Okay guys, I'm going to show you some sewing machine basics. This is my brother's sewing machine. I got it from Walmart for like 70 bucks. Really easy machine to use. If you've actually bought one, it kind of has instructions on top. But if you need someone to walk through each individual step, here's where you need to be. So, we got ourselves some thread. This is actually a pretty expensive thread. I've been using it on quite a bit of my projects lately. You don't need this expensive thread. You can actually get, I got this 5 for $1 stuff. I think this one was in one of my mom's sewing bags that she gave to me. This one I just picked up today. It was $2 something for the spool, and it's called Cotton Coats, and it works for quilting and piecing. You can use it for universal. You can use it in your machine, especially just this cheap one. And here's an all-purpose thread. You can also use this. I think you can get these generally for 99 cents. So most threads, as long as it's not like a specialty just for hand quilting thread, you can use in this machine. But even some of those, depending on how picky your machine is, you can use. So we're going to take this thread and we're going to thread a machine. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the thread on top here. And there's this piece right here. So let me pick up the camera and show you. There's a piece here. So your thread. And it doesn't matter which direction your bobbin comes off your, or thread comes off your spool. It can go either way, depending on your machine. This machine is universal. Now you take your thread and you put it in here, and you just pull it straight down, really easy. Now I'm going to set the camera down. Now you take your thread and you wrap it around down here and pull it back up. Really super simple. Now on mine, it has this really nice feature. It's like a guard plate that helps you thread this silver piece that's down in there. Not all machines have this piece. So if your machine is one of those, you have a piece on the side here. This is your spinning, I don't know what the hell it's called. All I know is it spins. I've been quilting for years, and you know what? I don't even know what it's called. So let's set our camera back down. And then you take this, if you don't have one of these, and you spin it until this silver piece right here is all the way up. Then you're going to take your thread, pull it this way, and it should automatically thread into this piece. Now that right there is what we're looking for. See that how the thread is going straight through the metal piece? That's what you want. And on most machines, sorry about that, you want to make sure that this is up before you thread it through. It's just downright easier. Okay, now we're going to pull our thread straight down. And there's another spot. We're going to have to get pretty close. Okay, so there's a spot right here where you want your thread to go through. Just push it off to the side. Sometimes this takes 2 hands, so if you give me a second. So I know the camera's a little bit kitty corner, but that's okay. That's the best way I could get it to see this piece. So you just take it and you push it in like this and pull down, and you are ready to go. Now all you have to do is thread your needle. Okay, you're going to need a sharp pair of scissors for this. These are what we like to call our, and I just cut my thread, quilting scissors. And you're going to want to cut your thread, which I cut it prematurely, but that's okay. We got what we wanted. Until it looks like this. You don't want anything fraying on it. Let's find the other piece I just had. Even this one is pretty good. I mean, it's pretty straight, clean cut. You could even thread that one. Now, if it's all frayed out, you're going to want to trim it off. Let's see. Yeah, we'll save that piece. It's pretty decent. So let's take our thread. Now, don't worry about this thread. I'll talk to you about that one in a minute. Now, if you've never done this before, don't do this with the machine on. not a good idea. I'm turning it on, that way you can see better. Okay. Now you see your needle. We're going to take our thread. We're going to put it forward. I'll try and do this the best I can so you guys can see. And just put it in. Now that it's partially in, don't touch your thread. Just reach around the other side, grab it, and pull it on through. Really simple. Now on the older machines, you actually had to thread it sideways if you have one of those machines. When I was younger, I used to mess it up all the time, and my mom would yell at me, so please don't ask. Okay, so now we're going to come to another important piece. See this piece here? Let's zoom out. Okay, this piece here sits right here, and it pops in, and you just push it. On this model, you push it straight back, lift up, and here's your bobbin. Now this one's already threaded, so I'll show you how to thread the bobbin on this one, or how to put the bobbin in the machine. So you see this picture here, it literally says that your bobbin has to be going this way with your thread. Sorry about that, I wanted it to focus. So your thread has to be going towards out way to the left of the machine. Now just take your bobbin, literally set it inside the machine, and there's this arrow here. We're going to pull the thread back. Now I want to zoom in really close on this part. Give me a moment for you, because I really want you to see this. Okay, so there is this little middle lip right here on the tip of my nail. That's what you want your thread to catch on. And you see how it's gone under that piece right there? And now your thread's in, pull it up and around this way. And on this model, it has a razor knife right here. So, and it's hidden, so you shouldn't cut yourself at all. Really easy to do. Just pull through and cut. And you have your excess thread now. You can use it in your junk journaling. Some people might throw it out, whichever you want to do. Alright, now we're going to take this piece, set it back in place, and push it up. And you are ready to go. Now, if you want to catch your thread before you start working on your project, lift up your foot, which I didn't explain. I'll explain that in a moment. Drop your needle down and keep a hold of this thread that comes through your needle. And did you see it snag down here? Right here under the bobbin case. It snagged the thread and pulled it up. And there it is, right there. You can barely see it. Of course, the thread isn't that long, so let's try this again. One more time. And there we go. It should have pulled. Now take your scissors. Nope. Okay, for some reason the thread is really, really short, so let's just make it a little bit longer. Don't cut it on the razor, and we'll make it a little bit longer to assist. Alright, now drop your needle. Hold your needle thread straight out. Alright, now you should have your bobbin thread. Take your scissors. You don't want to stab yourself. Don't use your fingers. Bad idea. And go ahead and catch that thread. And now you'll have two pieces of thread here. One's your bobbin thread and the other is your needle thread. See how I'm pulling and it's moving the bobbin? That will be your bobbin thread. Alrighty, now I'm going to show you a few other things that you need to know. Okay, now we're kind of sitting off to the right side of the sewing machine. You see this piece right here? You take it and it moves a little bit, lift up on it, and it's going to lift your foot. And underneath your foot are your feed dogs here. So that's how you drop it and put it back down. And this piece right here, sometimes it'll pop off. Let's see if I can... Yeah, see how it pops off like that? Really easy. Just take and line it up with the little notch drop your handle here to lift your foot, and it'll just lock it back in place, because I knocked mine off quite a bit. And to change your needles, you see this right here? You're going to actually need a screwdriver for this. See how, yeah, mine's pretty tight. So I'm going to leave that tight. It's pretty simple to change your needle. You just tighten and untighten this and pull your needle out. And then you get your new needle, which they generally look like this. And they only fit in one way. They're grooved specially to where you can only literally fit them in one specific way. These ones are some ones that no, I didn't buy these. These came with them. No, I bought these. Never mind. See, they're torn off. But these ones did come with the machine, I think, or something similar to this. So you see how these ones here, they're grooved a specific way. Literally, they will only fit in one way. So it's pretty hard to mess up putting in a needle. When you tighten this bolt right here back down, you can just slide around the needle and it'll pop right into place. And then you tighten this bolt down and you're ready to go. Also, depending on your needle size, will depend on the project you're working on. Generally, most standard needles that sewing machines come with, if you are junk journaling, they will work with your fabrics and your papers. If you start getting into more thicker projects, that's when you're going to have to up the scale and go up to like denim needles and things like that. And also when you start going up to that thick, my mom actually has a necky that will sew through paint sticks, but you need a special sewing machine to do that and a special needle. So with this cheap machine, don't think you can just go sewing through the thickest thing possible. You will break your machine. Trust me, I have learned through experience. So just letting you know. So another thing you need to know about is this button. So when you're not touching this at all, your sewing machine will sew in its standard regular motion. When you push down on it, it will go backwards. This is called a back stitch. So that way you can reinforce your stitch. If you're sewing on material, it's a really good thing to use. If you're sewing on paper, not so much. Because if you have really fragile paper, you'll only want to stitch it once. No back stitching whatsoever. If you have some fabric and some paper, you can back stitch once. If it's just fabric, back stitch as many times as you like, depending on what you want it to look like. Another important feature on your sewing machine is this little baby. This is right above your, yeah, I just said it, that thing. This will, you just turn it or twist it, and these are the type of stitches that your sewing machine has. These are your basic standard stitches. Number 5 is your zigzag. 4, 3, and 2 are your lighter zigzag. And then, of course, you get your 12 through 17 that are your unique type stitches. These are for doing buttons. I know for the longest time when I was younger, you had to have a 2-needle base to use them. I do not know how to sew buttonholes. So if you want to know how that's done, you're going to have to look up a different tutorial. I'm sorry. Maybe one day I will try it. And then when I get really good at it, I will do a tutorial. But it's definitely not happening right now. Okay, so let's go to one other thing. There's 1 or 2 other things we got to go over. But this is one fairly important one if you have a different style machine. Okay, so this piece right here, usually for this style of machine, it's just used to expand out your section right here to give you more space. Also for storage, behind here is storage. You can see this little arrow. It literally says push out. And you can literally store stuff in there. On older, more traditional machines, your bobbin case is not going to be up top like this. It is actually going to be in here behind this piece. If you would like a tutorial on those bobbin cases, let me know. I actually can get access to a machine with a bobbin case like that, and I will definitely throw it on the channel for you. Okay, guys, this is pretty much the last thing. So this is your bobbin threader thingy-ma-bob. This is your bobbin threader. So this is what we like to call a bobbin, and you literally, it slips right on here, really easy. And on the newer machines, you can slip it on here and pull it back towards this part. and when you sew, it already starts to spin. On the older machines, you would have to twist this knot backwards and unlock your needle in order to use your bobbin threader. Now, on the newer models, you don't have to do it anymore. Once you lock it this way, it automatically stops your needle and starts threading your bobbin. So, let's prep this bobbin to thread. Alright, we're going to turn this. Okay, now that we're going to thread the bobbin, what we did earlier, we're going to have to take all that out. Either that or you can leave it in and just get a whole different spool of thread. Either way is fine. But for this purposes, we are going to unthread it and do it the proper way. So, for threading bobbin, you're literally going to go under here, loop it here, and then come back around. Oh, it got tangled. And then come back around this way. So let me show you that again. Except for this time we'll do it from a top angle. So we are going to put this under here. It's got to catch on that little piece of wire. See that wire right there? It's not focusing. Okay, you see that wire? That's where your thread has to catch. Okay, now that our thread is caught, you see this diagram? This is the one that we're using for the bobbin. Now we'll go this way and then back around this way and pull your thread down. And that's what it looks like when it's done. Okay, now that we got that, okay. Our thread is hanging down right here. Let's move it this way. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put the thread partially on the bobbin. We're going to take and get the camera to focus on our hands. The way I like to do it is I'll reinforce it, so I'll literally put it in backwards. Like this. And then I'll loop it down. Okay. So I'll take the thread now that it's looped completely through, pull it this way and down. And now it's going to look like this. And then just start wrapping. Oops, I lost my thread. My bad. My thread's got a mind of its own today. Okay, so let's try this again. Loop it around and then start wrapping. Okay, now that you've got it started, your thread's going to come out this way. Now, according to this diagram, that's exactly where your thread should be coming out. Now, lock it in place. Pull this back. And this wonderful thing right here, that's what it looks like. That goes on the floor. And you step on it. And I like to hold my hand right here, holding the thread, making sure it gets evenly distributed. And then once it's full, that's it. And once it starts to rub right here, now your bobbin is finished. And the lovely thing about this machine is it has this little cutter on the side, so you don't really need scissors. The only downside with the cutter is sometimes you end up with frayed thread. So let's undo this. Pull it down here. And pop, it is ready to go, and now you have a ready spooled up bobbin. Okay, so this is the piece I was talking about earlier. I'm going to take a piece of my spare thread here so I can show you how to use it. And you pull your thread. A lot of the times when you're done sewing, you can literally pull your thread up like this and cut it easily, just like that. Or if you're pulling it from the top because of a bobbin, you just pull it straight down and cut like that. Really easy to use. The only downside is if you want to thread your needle, this is what I was talking about with having really bad frayed thread. I mean, look at that thread. It's terrible. And you're not going to be able to thread that very well through a needle. So you'll literally just have to take your scissors and cut it off so you can. So, just an FYI for keeping a good pair of scissors around. Okay, everybody, now that I've showed you the sewing machine basics, we are going to call it a day. My next video, that is featured with the sewing machine, we will be sewing ephemera. So, that's when we'll get in and actually learn how to sew. It's very simple, especially the way that we're going to do it. Nothing crazy, so please stay tuned if you want to learn.